What's going on, YouTubers, gamers and fellow hobbyists? Welcome to this episode of Airbrushing for Beginners, and in this episode we're going to be dealing with airbrush maintenance. So what do I mean by that? Well, you've had your airbrush for a while now. Perhaps you've been, obviously been painting models with it, or whatever you're painting. Might not be models, might be something else. But you've been using it, you've been spraying it, you've been doing colour changes, paint changes, and daily clean outs. Maybe you even have a weekly cleaning regime as well. But something's not quite right. It's not behaving as it used to, like when you bought it. And the reason for this is because it needs a maintenance. It needs looking after. Look after your airbrushes and they will look after you. Now, airbrushes are very fickle things. The slightest thing can interrupt their efficiency. Now, I've got a few airbrushes here, and they all suffer with a different thing, or a slightly different ailment, as it were. Starting with this one. This one is like a basic workhorse of an airbrush, and it just really needs a darn good cleaning, and I think that will be the thing. But what I'm intending to do is I'm going to perform my maintenance on all of my airbrushes. This airbrush is like a side loading one. They're all gravity feed ones, the ones I've got, but the spring's not behaving well anymore, and yeah, it seems to be clogged up with something, as I recall. My Badger Renegade Chrome works, but it's not as efficient as it used to be, and sometimes you get a bit of splatter or spitting. It's not as smooth as it once was. Again, a sign that is indicative that it needs maintenance. Now, my Patriot 105, I suppose it's because it's the one I use the most, is the best working one I've got, but again, it's still not as efficient as it once was, and we'll come to that. So to maintain your airbrush, you're going to need certain things, because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be splitting it down, stripping it right down, and then cleaning each part and or maintaining each part. So let's have a look at what you will need. So quite a few things there, as you can see. Don't worry about the airbrushes, because although obviously you need one, otherwise you wouldn't be here doing this. But they're not part of the equation. So all the other stuff, I mean, to be honest, to do a maintenance, you don't need all that. But this is what I use. And before I go any further, the Dettol, the Windex and the screen wash at the top, it's one or the other of those. It's not all of them, by the way, so don't worry about that. The little milk bottle top in the right hand corner, you'll want a couple of those as well. And also some tweezers, as we will see later on. The gloves are obvious at the bottom, and a mask. Yeah, I'm being a little bit overprotective, perhaps you may think that, but I want my viewers to be safe. So let's get on with it. Okay, so taking some of the stuff off the table, the spare parts and the other airbrushes, I'm going to be concentrating mainly on this Badger Patriot 105 in this video. This is the one we're going to be performing the maintenance on. But let's put that to one side as well for the moment and have a look at what we're going to need. Well, first of all, we'll be stripping the airbrush down, and we'll be soaking it in a solution. Now for this, I'm going to be using this is just a takeaway tub from like a Chinese restaurant. So you can actually buy these quite easily and very affordable, and you can use them again and again. This is what we're going to be pouring our cleansing solution in. So just pop that to one side. Now, some of the solutions that get used, as well as warm soapy water, let's take them one at a time. Some people use Dettol. A lot of people use that, and I've used it in the past. It can be, quite good. It certainly strips paint from models, so we know that. but in certain airbrushes it can be a bit what's the word, harsh upon things like rubber gaskets and seals and things. So that's but that is one option. Now these two form kind of the next one. Windex, which I know a lot of people do use, and I certainly use it to clean out, to perform quick paint changes and things like that. Now it certainly does its job with that, and I think you could certainly soak it soak airbrush parts in it. But my only concern with this is it's not the cheapest solution in the world. I'll be honest, I've not tried cheaper ones for just like window cleaners, but I mainly use it for the the squeezy bottle, which is handy. My personal recommendation is good old-fashioned screen wash, the stuff that you put in your car. Now a lot of these contain something called methanol, which is what breaks down the paint. The only thing is with that is you've got to be careful. It breaks down the paint, not to be confused with isopropyl alcohol, because the molecules are bigger in isopropyl, and that is even cheaper to make. But over here you can get, and this is the one I'm using here is a small tub, but I've got a large tub. You can get them in like 5-litre bottles and things, so they're really cheap to get hold of. Undiluted, it works for your screen, washes off the windscreen. You put it in your washer bottle. Now, a lot of people don't take precautions when they use this, so which is why I'm recommending a mask and gloves. Why? Because methanol is actually poisonous on its own, and is quite harmful. So I'm recommending, for the safety of anyone watching my videos who may want to be trying it themselves, to use a mask and use your rubber gloves. We're not going to be constantly worrying about that at the moment, because we'll come on to that later, because we've got to strip the airbrush down and all that first. There's a few other things we're going to be using as well. I mean, we're going to be soaking it overnight, all the parts, before we clean it. Now here's some of the things I use to clean an airbrush. You can buy these from eBay and places like that. These are actually, they're marketed as airbrush cleaning brushes, or detail cleaning brushes, and but the only thing is that they bend quite easily. Also use these, which are the same sort of thing, just on a shorter scale. You can get in there, you can twist them around, and you can do all sorts with them. Like little toothbrushes, for the nooks and crannies of the airbrush. Good old-fashioned toothbrush. Either you can buy brand new toothbrushes for pence in your local cheap shop, wherever you go, like a pound shop or wherever. You can buy them in packs. This is just an old toothbrush I had lying around, but sometimes they're more useful for like paint changes and during painting, to clean off the tip of the needle. Here's another fancy tool you can use. It's like an airbrush cleaner. It's essentially a spike, but it's like a metal spike which you can get in and dig in out any paint that gets in the airways, because the finicky part of an airbrush, I mean, the slightest fleck of paint can cause problems like no end. You would not believe the difference. Another thing, I've got myself a little, it's got a life of its own, a little milk bottle top here, but any like bottle top that you're going to throw away, you may want to use this for your rubber seals and your rubber gaskets. Now I've got this silicone stick, which is actually for rubbing on along seals and that, but you can squeeze some out into there, and you can coat your seal with it. Now this here is actually sewing machine oil. Now what I use this for is for the oiling of the springs and other mechanisms within the airbrush that have moving parts. So anything like that, I use machine oil, or the sewing machine oil on. So that's what we're going to be doing. We'll come on to this in different steps. So I'm just going to pop these to one side now and show you another thing which is quite handy. Now, if you've had an airbrush or you've been using airbrushes for a while, you've probably built up a collection of airbrush parts. Now, this is the box I use. This again, it's like a Chinese tub for spare airbrush parts. Now, this is obviously the bottle of an airbrush, not a gravity feed one. The other ones that suck the paint up. They're handier for like terrain purposes. Now, but at the moment I'm just keeping airbrush spares in there, really, just bits and bobs. And the things I've accumulated over the years, keep them all to one side. Never throw anything away. So that's just from an airbrush cleaning pot. Right. So in here, I keep all the stuff like the little wrenches I use to get the tips off. Some airbrushes, they all vary. And you got valves and different parts and more O-rings, a spare spring, you know, like the rear needle guard holders and all that sort of good stuff. I could probably make another airbrush out of the spares I've got. There's another O-ring there. Now, the reason I keep all this is, and the reason why we're going to be kind of trying to revitalise the rubbers if, you know, we don't have spare O-rings, is because if you want to get, you've probably tried it if you've not long had an airbrush and your seal's gone, get your official one from like the US or wherever. It can cost you anything up to, like, you know, £10 for an O-ring like that, and that's just crazy. So either you're going to be wanting to kind of restore them with this stuff, or get a new one. But now what you can do over here is you can buy airbrush seals. I don't know if you can see that clearly. Buy a pack of airbrush seals, like they're generic, cost you a couple of quid, and yes, it's true, you'll only want probably one of them, and one of them would be the size you're looking for, but that is cheaper than getting the official one from the official manufacturer. But again, it's up to you. Like all my airbrush tutorials, I'm not telling you should be doing it this way or that way. All I'm saying is this is how I do it, and this is what works for me. I'll probably put that in there. So that's my airbrush parts, which I won't know that I'll need until I come on to stripping down my airbrush. So this is what we're going to do right now. Now I'm taking my Badger Patriot 105 for this. Now let's see if we can zoom in a bit here. Maybe come around. There we go. So obviously this is the cap, because we don't need that, so we're taking that off. Going to be putting that all to one side. The needle protector. So we've got that off. Now, first thing we'll do is we'll unscrew the back, and you'll notice straight away that even the back has like an O-ring, which we'll have a look at some point. Now, let's try and put that to one side and not lose it. Okay, the needle is held in by this like this chuck nut thing here. So unscrew that, then you can pull the needle out, right out. There you go, and you see how dirty that is. And all this makes a difference. Now, you know, I've spoken, beware, you know, don't pull your needle right out when you're cleaning it, because you'll pull paint or flecks of paint through here in the airway, and this is what you don't want to do. All right, let's take the trigger out, and sometimes this has a life of its own. There we go. The sort of saddle that the trigger goes in front of. If you're unfamiliar with it, just lay it out as you find it. Unscrew the back. Another little nut thing there, which goes on there. So just lay it out as you take it apart. So that's the easiest way, so you don't get confused. You see it's coming out there now, there you go. And the spring is on the back here. Like so, you see that there? Right, now we're onto the front, and you've got two kind of nozzle things here going on. Let's take off the front one. There. Oh, here's a way to lay it out, look. Put that there. You can see where they go on then. These nozzle things go on the front. You take the rear one up. I mean, you know, every airbrush is different. You'll see that. Take that off. Now, some airbrushes require you to have a spanner to take this piece off. The Patriot 105 does not. There you go. So be careful not to lose that. Put that down there, and of course you've got a rubber O-ring here. Here is where the valve sits in. We can take this off. This is an adapter to get the airbrush to fit onto UK fittings. Now, even that has an O-ring in it. If you see, there, you see even the adapter has an O-ring in it. It looks to be quite good and clean, and I'm pleased about that. But we'll take that off. We'll take off this this thing here. These are like, this is an adapter to put my quick release valve on, so that you can just pop them off onto the hose. All right. So basically anything that comes apart. Now you can see, I don't know if you can see inside there. I don't know if it's light enough if you could see, but it is actually, it's quite dirty in there. Although it looks clean in there, it's quite dirty in there, and I don't think that's just because of pulling the needle through. So what we need to do now is remove the O-ring from around here, because sometimes air escapes. If you've had it on there like since you've had the airbrush, and I've had a few new different ones on here, then you'll find that they go hard and they break quite easily. I'm just going to move the camera over slightly whilst I try and get this O-ring off. You've got to be careful. And this is where our little device comes in handy. Let's move that over there. So, I'm going to use that to lift the O-ring, or try to. You want to, I suppose you could use tweezers for this, but they kind of get, they lose their elasticity after a while. I don't recommend using this needle thing to do it, because you'll bend the tip. But I just want, what I want to do is get a grip on it. I don't want to soak it in the same solution that the metal parts come with. Right, I'm just going to pause it here. I'm going to get a pair of tweezers, see if that helps to get the O-ring off. Right, managed to get the O-ring off, as you can see. And how I did it, it was quite difficult actually. I forgot how difficult it was, but I did it with these tweezers here. So as you can see, there's the O-ring now. It looks to me like it's seen better days. You can see that there, and that's not. And that wasn't in the process of getting it off. It felt like it's lost its elasticity. So I mean, what you could do, I mean, what I initially said was to pop it in there, which I will do anyway, and I shall put some rubber restorer on here. That's what I will do. So I'm going to pop some of that in place. There you go. It just comes out like a blob there. So just going to let that soak on the O-ring in case I don't have a spare one of suitable size. Right, I'm going to do the same with this O-ring here. I'm going to get that one off. Don't know if it's as difficult as the other one. Looks like it might be. Yeah. So I'm going to do that. The same thing again. I'm going to ease it off with these tweezers, and I shall pop it in here. This is a bigger one than this one, so the one around the tip is smaller. You want a really tight fitting for the end here. Otherwise, what will happen is it will bubble out everywhere. It creates, well, air just finds its way around, you know, out of anywhere. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, so there you see I've done the second O-ring, the larger one at the rear. So we're just soaking that in rubber restorer, which is the stuff from this handy dandy thing. You can get that off of eBay too quite easily. Right, I've taken the spring off at the back. And I've popped that in a little box too, and although it looks quite good, I'm going to be using the oil here to lubricate that. Oops. Actually, we'll soak it. That's what we'll do. So we'll soak a bit of oil in there. There we go. So a nice lot of oil. That's nicely soaking in that oil. So we'll pop that to one side. Also, I'm going to put the little saddle here in the oil as well, because that doesn't get dirty. Now this part here, we're just popping that through. Don't be afraid to take it out. And you see there's only one way it will fit because of the straight edge on there. And if you look on here, one of the edges is straight and the rest is round. That's not so easily visible there, but trust me, it is. So these are two bits to clean as well. Got the, let's zoom out now, shall we? I always get the wrong way. There, the chuck nut, that's off. I'm going to soak the chuck nut in the oil as well. Just pop a bit more on there. Sewing machine oil, quite cheap. And that will nicely lubricate it then. All the other parts that you see here are then in need of cleaning. So we are needing to soak them. Well, perhaps not the trigger, hey? Well, although that said, the needle does go through it. Although I may just... no, we'll soak it all. We'll soak this part. If you see here, if you look inside, you'll see it's not like a rubber, it's more like a sort of inbuilt gasket. I don't know if you can see that. This is why I'm kind of reluctant to go ahead with the Dettol. I'm going to use screen wash. All right, okay. So I'm going to pop my gloves and mask on for this. Now, like I say, you know, I don't want to seem like I'm going over the top with health and safety here, but it is quite a toxic thing, this methanol, and it even has other things which can be harmful. And we just stick this in a lot of the time without putting gloves on. Although I always put gloves on because I just don't like the thought of chemicals on my hands. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop my mask on. I'm going to pop all the bits in here. The needle fits in there. This is why a tub is nice and easy, a good size. It's a good chance if you have spare needles. I happen to have spare needles, which is good. So what we'll do is we'll soak all of this here. Although this part here I'm not going to soak. Right. All the bits that have paint on and through them, though, I am going to soak. Needle goes through that. That I'm going to, because it's on the outside, it goes on the outside, pop that in with the oil. All right, along with the spring. So then we've got our O-rings soaking, we've got our moving bits soaking, and then the valve. Actually, I'm just going to pop a bit of sealant with rubber restorer on here, rather than, I mean, it's true you can get them, you could probably take the O-ring out and put a new one in, but I don't want to do that. Yeah, I just want a bit of restorer. Just want to smear it around the rubber. I'll clear that off later. It will soak into the rubber anyway, so that'll be nice. So that's all soaking, that's all soaking. This again, this adapter doesn't need it. I'll just pop that in with the oil. Trigger, nozzle. There we are. So everything that's going to be soaking is now in the box. I'd say be careful that you don't bend the needle. So all I'm going to do is pop my mask on and then put the screen wash on it. Right, now it's sealed. So what we're going to do now is leave this overnight to soak, and then we'll come back the next day and then we'll see about cleaning up the rest of our bits and pieces and any final debris. And then we'll pop it back together, and then we will see about using it again. I'll try it with some water first, and just to show you how it works. So thanks very much for watching this part. It's kind of like a two-part one. I'll see you on the next part where we put it all back together and see how it's all cleaned up and what it performs like. Thanks for watching, guys. Remember, all brushes lead to war, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye for now, folks. Bye bye.